He stands on the wall of a dying world, a colossus in ceramite and faith. His armor is a canvas of oaths and honors, each seal a record of blood spilled in the emperor's name. Around him the air is thick, with the thunder of ordnance and the screams of the lost. He is unmoved, a statue of war given terrible life, his bolter speaking in verses of righteous fury. This is the image that haunts the dreams of humanity's enemies and gives fleeting hope to its defenders. This is a space marine, an angel of death. But he was not always this. Before the helmet there was a face. Before the bolter, there were hands that knew only the feel of a wooden tool or a rusted blade. Before the ceramite there was a boy who ran and bled and feared, a boy who has been systematically, brutally, and utterly erased. To become a warrior of the Adeptus Astartes is not a journey of ascension. It is a process of demolition. The aspirant is not built up. He is torn down to his foundations, and something new, something other, is constructed from the ruins. The price of becoming a demigod is the forfeiture of the mortal soul. It is a cost willingly paid by the desperate but never truly understood until it is far too late to reclaim what has been lost. The Imperium of Man is a galactic empire in a state of perpetual collapse, clinging to existence by the thinnest of threads. It is a regime built on a foundation of 10,000 years of war, suffering, and ignorance. For every world that basks in the Emperor's light, a dozen more fester in darkness, assailed by alien horrors, the temptations of chaos, or the simple grinding misery of their own brutal existence. It is from these forsaken places that the raw material for the Emperors, angels, is sourced. Feral worlds where tribes hunt monstrous beasts beneath strange suns. Death worlds where the very environment is a thinking, malevolent predator. Hive cities where billions live and die in polluted, lightless canyons of steel and rockcrete, their lives a constant struggle for territory, for sustenance, for one more breath. From this crucible of humanity, the chapters select their aspirants. They do not seek the noble, or the well-adjusted. They seek the survivors. They seek the killers. They look for boys on the cusp of manhood, their bodies still malleable, but their spirits already forged in the harshest of fires. The chaplains and apothecaries descend from the heavens in iron ships, their presence a myth made real. They are gods walking among mortals, and they offer a chance at apotheosis. The trials they set are not mere tests of skill. They are acts of mass culling. Aspirants are commanded to climb impossible, sheer ice mountains, where the air is too thin to breathe and the cold freezes blood in the veins. They are sent into irradiated deserts to hunt creatures of nightmare with nothing but primitive spears. They are thrown into gladiatorial pits to fight one another to the death, where the only prize for victory is the right to face the next, more horrifying trial. For every 100 boys who answer the call, 99 will die. Their bodies will be left on the mountain peaks, swallowed by the jungle, or trampled into the blood-soaked sand of the arena. Their names will be forgotten. Their sacrifice is the first, unspoken tithe. There is no sentiment in this. The process is designed to find not just the strongest, but those with a capacity for survival, so profound it borders on the inhuman. It seeks a sliver of genetic and spiritual perfection amidst a torrent of mortal weakness. Those few who survive, bleeding, exhausted, their eyes haunted by the things they have done, and the friends they have killed, are not congratulated. They are merely judged worthy to begin. They are taken from their homes, from everything they have ever known, and brought to the chapter's fortress monastery. For these boys, the world they knew has already ceased to exist. They have taken the first step on a path from which there is no return, and the true ordeal is about to unfold. They arrive not as heroes, but as specimens. Their names are stripped from them. They are given a designation, a number etched onto a metal tag. They are now raw material, possessions of the chapter. They are brought to the Apothecarion, a place that is equal parts temple, laboratory, and charnel house. The air hums with the drone of arcane machinery and smells of sterilizing fluids, ozone and blood. Here, under the cold, analytical gaze of the apothecaries, the unmaking begins. The boy is strapped to a surgical slab, his body held immobile by heavy restraints. He is a child, perhaps 12, perhaps 14 standard years old. His heart hammers against his ribs, a frantic, terrified drumbeat. This fear is the first thing that will be burned away. The process begins with chemistry. A cocktail of stimulants, painkillers, and muscle relaxants is injected into his bloodstream, a chemical prelude to the biological violence to come. Then, the real work starts. The first of the 19 primary implants, the osmodula, is introduced. A complex tubular gland is sutured to the aspirant skeleton, its secretions flooding his system. The purpose of this organ is to drastically alter the process of bone growth. It causes the skeleton to absorb ceramic-based chemicals from the aspirant's diet, making his bones larger, stronger, and exponentially more durable than steel. The experience is one of pure, unrelenting agony. The aspirant feels his own skeleton begin to crack and shift. His bones lengthen and thicken at an unnatural rate, his frame twisting and contorting. It is the feeling of being broken on the rack from the inside out, a torment that can last for months. Many aspirants do not survive this stage. Their bodies cannot handle the strain, and their skeletons simply shatter, turning their insides to pulp. The survivors are left taller, broader, their very proportions subtly inhuman. While his bones are being forcibly reshaped, the biscopia is implanted. This small, spherical organ is placed in the chest cavity, where it floods the body with hormones that stimulate massive muscle growth. The aspirant's body is seized by violent, uncontrollable spasms as his muscle fibers tear themselves apart and rebuild, becoming denser, thicker, more powerful. He is fed a high-protein diet of grox meat and nutrient paste, fuel for the fire consuming his body. He is subjected to a relentless regimen of electrostimulation and enforced exercise, his muscles shocked into growth, even as he lies in a fever dream of pain. The boy who arrived thin and wiry is buried beneath slabs of new, unnaturally powerful muscle. His own form becomes alien to him. Then comes the second heart. A smaller, simpler, but incredibly robust pump is surgically inserted into the thoracic cavity, linking to the aspirant's existing circulatory system. The moment it begins to beat is a profound violation. The boy feels a new, alien rhythm inside him, a frantic, powerful counterpoint to the familiar beat of his own heart. It is a constant physical reminder that his body is no longer his. This secondary heart can pump blood at a furious rate, oxygenating his new musculature, and more importantly, acting as a failsafe. Should his original heart be damaged or destroyed, this implant will take over, keeping him fighting long after any mortal man would be dead. The blood itself is next to be remade. The hemastamen, another small organ implanted into a major blood vessel, alters the composition of his blood. It makes it more efficient at carrying oxygen and, crucially, allows it to clot at a miraculous speed. The aspirant learns of its function through brutal live-fire training exercises. He is cut, shot, and wounded, and he watches in detached horror as wounds that should be fatal seal themselves in seconds, the blood turning to a thick, instant scab. This organ, Lerman's organ, works in concert with the hemastamen. A liver-like organ the size of a golf ball, it manufactures Lerman cells, which are released into the bloodstream upon wounding. They are the final word in survival, a sign that his flesh is no longer human flesh, but a self-repairing biological machine. The changes are not merely structural, they are systemic. The catalepsian node is implanted into the back of the brain. This organ allows a space marine to function without sleep, as a human understands it. The marine can shut down parts of his brain in sequence, entering a state of half-sleep while remaining consciously aware of his surroundings. For the aspirant, this means the end of true rest, the end of dreams. He lies on his cot, his body screaming in agony from the other transformations, and his mind is not even granted the mercy of unconsciousness. He is always awake, always aware of the pain, always listening to the hum of the Apothecarion and the twin pounding of the hearts in his chest. His childhood memories, the faces of his family, the smell of his home, these things begin to fragment, to fade in the endless, sleepless twilight. His very senses are weaponized. The neuroglottis is implanted in the back of his throat, allowing him to analyze tastes and smells with chemical precision. He can detect poisons, identify the genetic makeup of a creature by tasting its flesh, track a foe by the faint chemical trail left in the air. But for the aspirant, the first activation of this organ is a descent into sensory chaos. The bland nutrient paste he is fed explodes on his tongue into a complex and nauseating breakdown of its composite chemicals. The sterile air of the Apothecarion becomes a symphony of odors. The iron tang of blood, the sharp scent of disinfectants, the faint, decaying smell of failed aspirants from the disposal units. The world becomes a terrifying, overwhelming flood of information he cannot process. The preomner, a large implant that functions as a pre-stomach, is grafted into his esophagus. This organ allows a marine to eat materials that would kill a normal human, neutralizing toxins before they reach the true stomach. The aspirant learns its function by being force-fed poisoned meat, corrosive fungi, and alien flora. He vomits, he convulses, he endures unimaginable sickness, but he learns that he can survive. He learns that his body can now process death itself and turn it into sustenance. The olytic kidney works in concert with this, a hyper-efficient filtration system that can absorb and neutralize almost any poison that makes it into the bloodstream. In an emergency, these two organs can even allow the Marine to enter a state of suspended animation, a death-like trance to survive extreme trauma. To the boy, it feels like his insides are being systematically replaced with cold, efficient machinery. He is becoming a monster. The Becher's gland is implanted in his lower jaw, allowing him to produce and spit a blinding, corrosive acid. He practices on servitor skulls and condemned prisoners, the act of spitting becoming an act of lethal force. The mucranoid, an organ that secretes a waxy substance that can seal the skin, is woven into his subcutaneous tissue, preparing his body for exposure to extreme temperatures or even the vacuum of space. Each implant is a further step away from the person he was. Each new ability is a tombstone for a part of his humanity. And then there are the progenoids, the gene seed. These are the most precious and vital of all the implants. Two of these glands, one in the neck and one in the chest, grow within the Marine, absorbing the genetic information from his other implants. After 5 years, the neck gland is mature and can be harvested. After 10, the chest gland follows. From these, new sets of implants can be cultured. This is the sole reason for the Space Marine's existence: to fight, to die, and to pass on the seed of his creation so that more like him can be made. The aspirant understands in a dim, horrified way that he is no longer an individual. He is a vessel, a biological factory for the engines of war, his own life secondary to the continuation of the chapter. He carries his legacy and his curse within his own flesh. Throughout this entire process, the failure rate is astronomical. For every aspirant who successfully endures the implants, many more die. Their bodies reject the new organs in catastrophic fashion. Hearts explode, bones turn to powder, nervous systems burn out. The Apothecarion is a place of constant, quiet screaming, the sounds of boys dying on surgical tables, their potential turning to so much useless meat. The survivors see this. They walk past rooms where their brothers from the trials are being unceremoniously dissected, their failed implants harvested for study. They learn the ultimate lesson of the chapter. You are either useful or you are nothing. There is no middle ground. Success is survival. Failure is oblivion. This physical transformation, as total and traumatic as it is only one half of the process. The body is the vessel, but the mind is the weapon. While the aspirant's flesh is being broken and remade, his spirit is subjected to an equally violent reconstruction. He is taken to the reclusium, the domain of the chaplains. Here, in chambers filled with incense and the echoing chants of litanies, his mind is systematically dismantled. The primary tool of this re-education is the hypnomat. The aspirant is strapped into a chair, a heavy helmet locked over his head. Probes descend, making contact with his skull. Then begins the flood. He is not taught, he is programmed. Decades of information are forced directly into his brain in a matter of months. Tactical doctrine, weapons lore, imperial history, chapter ritual, the technical specifications of 1,000 different machines of war. All of it is slammed into his consciousness. The process is agonizing, a psychic deluge that threatens to shatter his sanity. He feels his own thoughts, his own memories, being drowned in a torrent of data. Worse than the addition of knowledge is the subtraction of self. The hypno-indoctrination actively scours the aspirant's mind, seeking out and erasing memories and emotions deemed to be weaknesses. The memory of his mother's face is blurred, then replaced with a catechism of duty. The love for his siblings is overwritten with hatred for the Xenos, the mutant, the heretic. The sound of laughter from his childhood village fades, supplanted by the litany of hate. The chaplains and librarians walk through the landscape of his mind like burners of sacred texts, putting everything that made him an individual to the torch. They are not creating a soldier. They are creating a zealot, a being whose every thought is bent towards the singular purpose of war. This is reinforced by psycho-conditioning. The aspirant is made to endure unimaginable pain while reciting the creeds of the chapter. Pain glove agonizers send waves of torment through his body, and he learns to associate this agony with devotional purity. He is shown horrific images of demonic incursions and alien atrocities while being fed psychostimulants that induce a state of ecstatic fury. Fear is conditioned out of him, replaced by a cold, righteous anger. Compassion is reframed as a mortal sin. Doubt is an enemy to be purged with prayer and violence. He is forced to confront the psychic echoes of his chapter's greatest heroes and its deepest shames. He relives the last stands of ancient captains, feels the death blows that felled legendary warriors 10,000 years before. He is made to understand that he is not an individual, but the inheritor of a legacy of sacrifice. He is not fighting for himself. He is fighting for the honor of Primarchs long dead, for an emperor entombed on a golden throne, for a chapter that is his only family, his only god. The boy who was afraid of the dark is taught to become the darkness. The boy who cried when he was hurt is taught to revel in glorious agony. The boy who loved is taught that love is a weakness, and that the only true emotion is hatred, pure and sanctified. The process is imperfect. Sometimes a memory fragment survives the scouring. A face, a name, a scent. These are phantoms that will haunt the Marine for the rest of his days. Echoes of a life he can barely comprehend. They surface in the quiet moments between battles, a sudden, inexplicable pang of loss for a person he cannot name, a place he cannot picture. It is the ghost of the boy, crying out from the depths of the machine. But these moments are fleeting. The conditioning is too strong, the new identity too absolute. The ghost is silenced, and the Marine returns to his prayers and his war gear. When the apothecaries and chaplains are finished, the boy is gone. In his place stands a giant, a post-human demigod of muscle and bone, his mind a fortress of dogma and combat doctrine. But he is not yet a space Marine. One final trial remains. He must receive the last and most important implant, the black carapace. This is a sheet of black psychoreactive plastic that is surgically implanted directly beneath the skin of his entire torso. It fuses with his ribs and spine, growing neural sensors that snake throughout his body. It is the final violation, the permanent interface between flesh and machine. The process is excruciating, the feeling of cold, dead plastic bonding to living bone. When it is done, his skin is studded with silver ports, interface points, that will allow him to connect directly to his power armor. He is no longer fully organic. He is a cyborg, his body prepared for its final synthesis with the machine. Now comes the ceremony. The aspirant, his body, a canvas of scars and implantation sites, his eyes hollowed by pain and indoctrination, is brought to the chapter's armory. He is stripped and anointed with sacred oils by the Tech Marines. He stands before his power armor, a hulking, inanimate god of war. It is not a machine he will pilot. It is a second skin he will inhabit. He is led forward, and the armor is fitted onto him, piece by piece. The greaves lock onto his legs, the vambraces onto his arms. The massive chest plate is lowered over his torso. With each piece, he feels heavier, more encased. Then come the neural plugs. The Tech Marines connect the thick cables from the armor's inner workings to the ports of his black carapace. The moment of connection is a silent explosion in his nervous system. The world vanishes. His sense of touch is replaced by the armor's sensorium. He feels the vibrations in the floor through the soles of his sabatons. He can feel the molecular integrity of the air on his pauldrons. His hearing is gone, replaced by the crackle of the voxlink and the mechanical rasp of the armor's respirators. His sight is a stream of data, targeting reticles, ammunition counters, atmospheric analysis, the heat signatures of his brothers standing around him. He is sealed in. The final piece, the helmet, is locked into place. The familiar world of sight and sound and touch is gone forever, replaced by the cold, logical reality of the battlesuit. He takes a breath, and the sound is not his own. It is the hiss of a machine. He takes a step, and the ground trembles beneath the weight of his tread. In that moment, the last vestiges of the boy die. The aspirant is no more. A chaplain steps forward, his own skull-helmed visage, a terrifying icon of this new reality. He anoints the Marine's helmet with a drop of sacred oil and speaks his new name, a name taken from the chapter's roll of honor, the name of a hero who fell in battle centuries ago. It is not the aspirant's name. It is a title, a burden, an identity he must now assume. He is no longer a person. He is a legacy. He is a space marine. He is led from the armory to the firing cages. A bolter is placed in his hands. The weapon is enormous, a block of steel and fury that would be impossible for a mortal man to lift, let alone aim. To him it feels balanced, an extension of his own will. He raises it, the armor's machine spirit meshing with his own thoughts, the targeting systems locking onto the distant plasteel target. He squeezes the trigger. The sound is not a gunshot. It is a roar, a physical concussion that rips through the air. The mass-reactive bolt crosses the distance in a heartbeat and detonates, obliterating the target in a flash of fire and shrapnel. He feels no recoil. He feels no emotion. He simply registers the hit, acquires the next target, and fires again and again and again. The litanies of hate whisper in his mind. The twin hearts pound a steady, powerful rhythm in his chest, and the ghost of the boy who once lived inside him is silent, buried forever beneath layers of ceramite, dogma, and duty. This is the burden they carry. This is the terrible, magnificent truth of the Adeptus Astartes. They are not merely soldiers. They are living weapons, forged in a crucible of agony and loss that would destroy any lesser being. They are humanity's salvation, and they are its ultimate tragedy. They sacrifice their humanity to defend a humanity they can no longer truly be a part of. They stand on the walls of dying worlds, their faces hidden behind impassive masks, their souls scoured clean of all but war. They feel no fear, for fear has been burned out of them. They feel no pity, for pity is a weakness they cannot afford. They feel only the weight of their long, unending vigil. Such is the nature of their creation. It is a process that begins with a hopeful boy and ends with a sorrowful monster. A monster that is necessary, a monster that is holy. In the grim darkness of the far future, where the enemies of mankind are numberless and the light of hope is guttering, the Imperium does not have the luxury of heroes. It has only its angels of death, born of sacrifice, clad in iron, and damned to an eternity of war. They are the prodotto of a civilization so desperate that it will unmake its own children to forge the swords that will defend it. And so it has been, across all the long centuries, from the ashes of the Horus heresy to the blood-soaked present of the 41st millennium. Boys are taken, they are broken, they are remade, they are given new names and new bodies and new souls, all sworn to the Emperor and their Primarch. They join the ranks of their brothers, their faces identical in their grim purpose, their voices a chorus of battle cries and litanies. They will fight on worlds whose names they do not know, for people they will never meet. They will die in forgotten corners of the galaxy, their passing marked only by the retrieval of their gene seed, a final cold act of propagation. In the end, what remains is the image from the beginning, the Colossus on the wall. We see him now not as a simple hero, but as a monument to loss. The strength in his arms is the product of unimaginable pain. The certainty in his mind is the result of psychic violation. The armor he wears is both his shield and his tomb. He is magnificent, and he is terrifying. He is the guardian of mankind, and he is a ghost, forever severed from the people he protects. You do not just become a space marine. You stop being what you were, and there is no way back. The boy is dead. The angel is born, and the vigil is eternal.